start with the roundtable. My name is Diego. I'm from the Spanish startups team, and for me it's a pleasure to have you here and to also work with Siemens Gamesa and Rocío co-organizing this event. So as you know, today this roundtable is to inspire all the attendees, all the participants of the hackathon that we will be hosting this weekend. So at the last part of the roundtable, we will ask you to give them some advices. So how do they develop the solutions, or in which points they should be focusing during the weekend to solve and to do a great project. And well, Rocío, please give us a short introduction.
Thank you so much, Diego. Yes, I'm Rocío from Siemens Gamesa, and I'm very excited to have. I'm really looking forward to hearing what you have to say in this roundtable. We wanted to have a roundtable where students that are going to participate in the hackathon could hear from your experience, that how it is to live in the world of solutions to teach in general, educational tools, and also experience in the video games and incubators. But also one aspect we wanted when Alfonso said to us, "Oh no, I'm not in the technological thing." We also thought it was a fantastic opportunity to have him with us, because we are going since I think it's now our third webinar, and more we're talking about it's more than STEM, it's about STEAM. It's about not only to have the technology, but also to have this knowledge, history, art, etc., that makes the solution much better and closer to the people. Then thank you so much for being here today, and I'm not going to take any more of your time. I pass the floor to Alfonso. Thank you, all of you, for being here today.
Thank you, Rocío. Thank you, Diego. For sure, thank you, Siemens Gamesa and Spanish startups, for this awesome opportunity just to be here talking about what we do, what we love, and well, if we are able to inspire anyone and just to set down something stable for anyone to bring up his life, or just to settle the way, that's education. That's education is not knowledge coming from the outside of the person, but what the person from the inside can do for first improving his life and after improving others' life. So we have here Sebastian, Dominik, and Oskar, who are for sure more experienced than me in developing technology. I have very few experience in just developing business from technology. I just know what technology can do for the people, but no idea on how to do it. I think it would be good to provide a little background of any one of you to the audience. And okay, I propose to start. Who is starting first? Just to tell who you are, where you come from, what you do, and how you more specifically, how have you got here at this point? Okay,
maybe can I start? Yeah,
for sure.
Hello everybody. First of all, thank you Siemens Gamesa and Spanish startups for inviting me to this incredible roundtable, and I am sure that I will learn a lot from all of you. So I am a specialist in design. I will tell you a little bit about my experience, but well, my name is Oskar Santamaria. I am from Bilbao, Spain, and I am industrial design engineer. And I think that it could be one of the most creative fields of the engineer area. And I am partner of DOT, that is an innovation and design agency based in Bilbao and Madrid. And actually, we are working on projects with different corporations on social impact and product design. But of course, I have a great team with me in DOT, and none of us has the same background or studies. So some of my team is like communication expert, other ones are business experts or data analysts, for example. So I could say that the magic of blending all those fields is basically what the future challenge need, or somehow. Well, and apart from DOT, my team has recently launched the Future Game. There is a gamified platform for youth participation in future topics and future literacy. Yeah, we are really happy because we have been awarded this year by many entities like the European Council. So yeah, we are really happy to share with you guys all these adventures in this roundtable.
I will ask you to go a little bit deeper in that gamification that doesn't rely uniquely on rewards if you do this, or the reward if you do that. That's the basis of gamification. But I'm sure you go to the real depth of gamification itself. Yeah, so you will later tell us more.
Okay. Let's do it.
Who's next?
Shall I?
As you want.
Okay, yeah. So I'm Sebastian Staacks from Germany, and I am actually a physicist. So not exactly match the math category of this roundtable, and also I'm not originally a software developer or anything like that, but yeah, I got my PhD in solid state physics, and then started to develop a little app actually for our own teaching called phyphox. Some of you might have heard of it. It's an app that uses the sensors of the smartphone to do physics experiments for physics education. And at some point we decided to release this app, and then it went through the roof. We've got millions of installations by now, and I'm doing this full time now. So effectively, doing the work of a software developer today. Actually, a whole team of developers in one person, because we do not really have the funds to have a large team around me. And I more or less stumbled into this direction because of that. Probably I'm also a little bit the odd one out, as I'm still working at the university. So very different type of work probably, or the work context. Yeah, and maybe also some of you remember me from last year, because I already had the pleasure to be at the roundtable last year. And yeah, I hope I can also help with some insights on how the technology arrives in education at this point, because we're doing this for quite a few years now. Yeah, we see a few things that could still be improved, and quite a few things that have improved. So yeah, looking forward to the discussion with the others.
It's fascinating how social media can do for global sciences divulgation. I was just strolling around those past days, and I have lots and lots of people in social media just explaining how I should have wished they did when I was at school or whatever, because, well, we always see maths as getting formula by heart. You must this plus this equal blah, blah, blah. And if you don't need by heart, you're lost. But tell me, where does it come from? Just that kind of divulgation. It's fantastic. I have learned lots of maths these days. Well, I always loved it. I must say it's a strange today. I don't think on the Aureus proportion and the 1.6618, and because it's a measure of almost everything. And well, you must tell us what do you do with your app, and what do you want to do in the future, what you want it to be, and we'll be glad to hear more.
Right now?
Yeah, yes, let Dominik introduce himself, and we're going to it. Great.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Spanish Startups and Siemens Gamesa for calling me here. So yeah, my name is Dominik Cvetkovski. I'm from Novska, Croatia, and I have been in game development industry for almost 15 years now, even though I'm 24, but yeah, since I was a little kid, I was in this industry trying to learn everything, and I was, how to say it, educated by that myself, so I'm self-taught. I don't have any real educational background, any PhDs or something like Sebastian, but yeah. So what I do exactly is we have a Pismo incubator here in Novska in Croatia, which is incubator dedicated for game development startups. And in this incubator, not only that we support startups, we have 6 months of education for them before they go to startups to choose between fields of Unity, programming, level design and everything, or Blender, where they learn 3D modeling, animations, rigging and stuff like that. And there I am the teacher for Unity. Currently we have about 75 startups in our incubator. Almost all of them are oriented for game development industry. Also, I'm the president of Croatian Game Developer Association in Novska, and also I am CEO of my own game development company. So, and what I'm telling the startups in our incubator, and also what I'm telling the young people when they start doing what they want to start what I'm doing. So what I mean by that is my company is currently doing mostly business to business games or applications, because if you want to do something what you dream for or something that is your idea, first you need to get funding, and how we will get you funding without working for someone who has money. So business to business is mostly something that is good opportunity, and of course you will learn a lot about different kind of problems that came up during the production, so you will be prepared where you're going to do your own product. I think that Sebastian would agree with me that if he worked with 10-15 apps before creating his own, would now create his app a lot better, not by the programming point of view, but from management point of view. That's mostly the problems in whole industry.
Actually, in my case, even from a programming point of view. So if I look at some of the code that I created in the beginning, some of it is still visible. It's an open source project, but yeah, it's a little bit off-putting if you see the code I created at the start. So I do not even want to act like I created perfect code at the beginning.
Yeah. Well, it's very common on the startup universe just to say, if you're not if you don't like the MVP you launched in a while after you have launched it, if you don't like it, it means you launched it too late. So if you're ashamed of it, you launched too late. I guess it's the same. It's the same in coding, but I'm really interested in knowing what is on those, especially you, Sebastian, and you, Dominik. How does your mind work just for coding? Because I recognize myself. I have I have no discipline. I have no organization in my mind. I'm always flowing from. I go from one point to the other and just creating. Maybe it's myself. It's I haven't trained my mind to do anything else. But I guess it's not, as we were saying before, it's not an education issue. It's how your mind is, and how do you go to solve that problem? That's we all call it when we're developing technology, that architectural organization of the solving of the problem. So what does your mind looks like? How it is? How do you work? How do you think? What do you think? So so the audience can well, I want to do programming or coding, and so I know my mind is this way. I have to change this point here, just to adapt it to, well, people who have been coding for so many years now.
That's a question for you.
Yeah, I think
it's a question I have had myself for years, because when I see a terminal screen, all that black or white with that coloring lines, well, I say,
Matrix.
What is that? Where is the logic?
It's not. It's not that hard. It's to start programming, but it's hard to start programming good.
Yeah, I think it's really difficult to describe how your mind works while doing this, because I think the important thing in the end is that you observe yourself, how you would solve it yourself, and find the structure in it, and then being able to put it into code. So if you think about how you would, it's hard to come up with a good example for this, but if you ask me to write a code that draws a line through the middle of a circle, just random example geometry here. The thing is that I think everybody of us would be able to do this with what's the English word for the how you draw a circle, the device to do this.
A compass.
A compass, yeah. I always find that word confusing, because for me, compass is the thing that tells you where north is. But yeah, a compass. Yeah. So if you have a compass, each one of us would be able to do this, and then maybe a ruler to put it onto the center point, and then just draw this line. And if you ask somebody to write this down in your own words, I think that's the difference that you learn to do after a while, if you have done enough coding, to actually put in each of these steps that you are not even aware of when you do it yourself. So that, for example, I just mentioned that when you apply the ruler to draw the straight line to the center of the circle, that you actually align it with the center of the circle. If you ask someone on the street, he probably gives you some instructions and leaves out this part, because another human would simply think of it, because that's a task to draw it to the center. And I think finding these steps, and then of course more complicated things where you have to think of, okay, I have to figure out this coordinate, for example, first, and have to do this calculation, and yeah, these are the things that you have to learn to observe and then put into your words. And then, of course, depending on the task, also, yeah, some knowledge comes into play. I mean, Dominik probably had to learn a lot of math for the things he does, because, I mean, yeah, that's one of the reasons that's a topic today. Then at some points, of course, you have to know yourself how to create these things. So if you ask me to calculate the length of this line, then of course you need your math, and that's quite basic math. But then if you're doing 3D stuff like Dominik does, then stuff like matrices and quaternions come into play, and eventually, yeah, you get all these tools together. But the coding part of this, just like if you just have to order a list, or if you're writing a database for something, is actually observing how to solve this problem and being able to, yeah, find to structure each step of it. I think that's the difference. Yeah. Dominik, what do you think? Did I put into words how this works? Because it's really hard to observe yourself while doing this.
No, but sounds awesome. Thanks.
Yeah, for me exactly. What you said about writing the process, yeah, everybody will write it in other ways. So, for example, what I'm teaching my students is that I will know if they copy others' work, because as you have your own signature or your own handwriting, you will have the same in programming, your own programming style. So it's interesting that each person, each programmer will have its own style of coding or typing or naming the variables or methods and everything. But yeah, for example, in my opinion of thinking and everything in that point of view, I had a bad grades in high school from math and physics and everything. But in the same time, I could create a video game that has all that formulas, the classroom in the game, and I would show to my high school teacher in physics that I created the game and show her the formula that is exactly the formula we are learning in school, but the task that she would give me, I could not solve it. Because interesting thing is when you're programming something or coding or anything, you can Google the stuff that you're needing. So you'll find the formula on the internet. It'll take 5-10 minutes to learn it, how it works. And you just put it in the code. So inputs will be solved by that formula. In classical school in Croatia, where I went to, I got the task, for example, the train is going that many kilometers per hour, in which time he will arrive. Why did I calculate that? I can code the program that will calculate that for me. So I was always thinking in the solutions that I can create by learning something more to make my life easier.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. It's interesting, especially now with business to business applications or games, because client came with the idea of I don't know, some historical moment happening in Croatia when Ottomans attacked and you need to defend the fortress or something. Yeah, cool. Tell me all the data. I will learn all data from how many Ottomans, how many Croats were defending it, in which area and everything. But yeah, it doesn't stay in my mind. It just went out when I done.
It's funny how we've seen through Sebastian and Dominik how creativity works when applied to maths, and when on the other side when maths applied to creativity, and it's a great way just to we have discussed about that guided education, that oriented education, just to as Dominik was talking about, he couldn't make his homework when well, he applied this formula, in this case applied this other one, but he was able to create a whole video game using that applying that formulas where they fitted well. It's fantastic. So Oskar, you're the most the most creative branch of engineering. How do you see it yourself?
Well, I see their brains and my brain. I think that they are totally different. But at the end of the day, I think that
you
all
see,
of us.
My brain is Homer Simpson's brain when the monkey was playing drums.
That's the funniest brain on earth.
Brain. That's my brain.
Yeah, no, I was saying that at the end of the day, I think that everyone is trying to connect the different dots in our brain, and basically the creativity and the other science do that process in that kind. No, and I remember that we were talking about the speed of the new technologies and how difficult it is for the educational systems, no, to adapt the training and constantly be updated to reach those new challenges. I think that in my experience, nobody has like a pure field or occupation. No, I think that we are all going to blend, like a blended specialization, and I find myself like understanding a little bit about mathematics, or understanding a little bit about programming, or any other science, and collaborating a lot with other professionals to reach the challenges or the projects we need to make in the company. So I think that the magic is just that. In fact, here in DOT, we hire people that has like that hybrid superpower, or I don't know how to say. So I think that that ability to connect the different dots in your brain is like a really it's the really useful tool for the projects and for the real life. I don't know.
Is your company named after that dots you're connecting?
Yeah,
so.
it comes from the Vasily Kandinsky quote that says that everything starts from a dot. That was like a starting point, an interesting starting point, because we are a startup also. We started in 2013, and we started thinking, okay, where do we start? And okay, let's start from some point, and that's it. I think that is very inspirational mindset, not to start thinking on creating that there are complex problems in the society and in the, I don't know, in the sciences, and we have to start from some point and start developing the solutions. So
those are the subjects I love more. Just practicing them in the in the company world. Just that social impact, that famous triple impact, and so on, so on. So that's what I want to do. You have talked about blended. We have been talking about blending or blended challenges all this time. I would like to close this. You have quoted Vasily Kandinsky, but I am quoting Tesla when he said humans didn't invent mathematics. Mathematics, they already existed. They were there, and that's what happens with innovation. Innovation comes from invention, and it's just those inventions applied to solving something, and that's what you do, guys. So it's just fantastic. You think then going to the next step, maths and physics are I think with music are the language of the universe somehow, and this must be applied for something. What is tech for in your opinion? That's I'm looking forward to you to telling me or us the purpose of that technology you do. So that's the opportunity, Sebastian, just to go a little bit deeper in that physics APP, and it's fascinating what you do, and we always start on you, but it's okay, it's great.
Yep. I mean, if you really ask the broad question how technology comes into this, I would say for sharing cat videos, right? But if you want a particular example of how technology can help, especially in this case of education, I think, yeah, this is a good chance to describe what our app does. So the thing is that our smartphones all have a whole range of sensors, like an accelerometer, gyroscope, magnetometer, of course, microphone. GPS comes in handy to get locations, and this gives us access to a whole range of physics properties. So yeah, we can, as the name suggests, measure acceleration, magnetic fields, and so on and so forth. And the idea of our app is to use these sensors to do physics experiments in physics class. Also, in the end, we want to reach other STEM fields as well. But this is a little bit difficult with the sensors that are in the phone, because those mostly apply to classical mechanics, if you really look closely at them. So, for example, you can use the accelerometer and the gyroscope to measure centrifugal acceleration or centripetal acceleration, simply by putting the phone into something that rotates, for example, a salad spinner or a swivel chair or maybe a bicycle wheel. let it rotate, and the accelerometer can measure the radial acceleration, while the gyroscope can measure the angular velocity. And yeah, that's a very simple experiment to explore this. You do not need anything. You do not have to buy anything. You can just use your phone and do real experimentation and do real science. And that's the idea here. And I mean, that's quite a contrast to how we saw technology for the, let's call it the first approaches of most education, when there were simply just a bunch of tablets purchased for an entire classroom. And in the end, the teachers let the students simply look up words like in an old school dictionary. So just substituting the old technology. And I think what we need is a bunch of examples where we can enhance this. I mean, one example is being able to simply plot a graph from a mathematical function right away in the classroom. Just, I mean, that's a very common thing today. It's an easy thing to do. We've been able to do this quite a while with graphical calculators, for example, but it has become so easy, and that's a real enhancement then if you can do these things. In the future, we may see applications like augmented reality or virtual reality to visualize things better and to make it easier to get different representations of the things that we want to teach and that we want to understand. And I think that's where technology really comes in. And our app is a little tiny piece of these things, giving access to these sensors and yeah, eventually also giving access to visualizing other sensors, as we've got some nice APIs to incorporate DIY sensors. But yeah, it's a little piece in this thing that we are currently creating. I think this stuff is growing, and we're trying different technologies and see what sticks, which technologies work. While also, of course, noticing which ones don't work and which are just distracting. Yeah, so.
You have developed the Mythbusters Dream app. those guys on TV just get into real those theoretical experiments and so on so on. So it's sounds so deep and well, awesome. You talked about well, technology is just to make videos from cats. Do you think in education, teachers and people in charge of guiding other people to find the path in life, and so are aware enough of importance of technology, or they are surmounted by technology? Means technology passes over them just like a wave in the beach, and they finally don't know where they are. What do you think about it?
I think this really depends on the person. I mean, there are so many different teachers out there. So it's really hard to give a general answer, but I think most of them realize the potential, but I think the problem is that most of them are not given the opportunity or the time to really explore this. I think most of the education systems are still designed around this old school teaching, where a teacher uses the same classes or the same material each year, and only makes small improvement each time, and an assignment is simply a little assignment in text form, and it's really easy to create this assignment. And with most modern technologies, you have to give the teachers time to try this out themselves, to learn the new technology. Also, all the new technologies are changing so fast. I mean, we were really trying hard to do not make major changes that break existing lessons with our app. But if I think about the requirement to use our app in exactly the same way over several years, it probably wouldn't work, because we were working on it and it's changing a little bit. And I think it's not realistic to really give each teacher individually time to develop new material for each lesson. I mean, at least at the moment, in many cases, especially in the STEM fields, we are usually hard pressed to get enough teachers. So, but I think the solution to this is to work more with a pool of resources and pool of worksheets, so that if one teacher figures out a great way to teach the one thing with technology, then he or she can share it easily with others. I mean, that's what's called open educational resources, and I think we should encourage teachers more to use those and to share their own lessons with others, and to not hesitate to take something someone else created, something great they created, and then incorporate it and adapt it to their own lesson, to save time on this and to be able to have some more time to figure out the correct way or the best way to incorporate the new technologies.
Now we've got to find the maths teacher for Dominik when he was young, and just tell him a few things. What do you think, Dominik? Would you how would you tell that teacher, well, tell me, show me maths in a different way? What should he be doing?
Yeah,
that's the vision of educating the educators, because yeah, it's difficult to make it general, of course, but just to encourage them, just to stay at the. It's complicated for us, who all of us work on tech. So for them, it's more difficult to keep them with the last actualization of the OS in tech. So this is the last thing we've learned in tech. So give it to the children. No, now today is this one, tomorrow is this other one, tomorrow is this. That is so complicated, just to be encouraged and to stay always learning new things and providing them to the kids.
So yeah, I agree with what Sebastian told, because it's not only the problem in the educational system or the professors in that kind of view, because I agree that they need to have time for first so they can learn. But in other way, most of the guilt fall on us, on software developers, because we created it our point of view, and not on point of view of I will try not to make someone feel bad, but to make it easy to use for old people, because most of the teachers are old and they are not used to work with new technologies. So we need to firstly create the application for them to be used easily, and then kids will be, everything will be easy for kids to use, because they are used to new technologies and they can adapt in 1 week without a problem. But old professors cannot do that, and most of the guilt fall on us. For example, and I know that from experience, because my company created the in Croatia it's called Dabrica I sigurnost na internetu, which means Dabrica is beaver, beaver and safe on internet, safer internet. It's a program funded by Google, which Croatian teachers in elementary school created with us the data about safer internet for the elementary school students. And we created the game, they created the handbooks and stuff like that. For the teachers, we created it for the kids. And they put it in the classroom, so each classroom that is learning about technologies, informatics, IT, and everything will play the games. Kids will play the games. And the fun thing is that the games, firstly, was so boring for me to create and for my team, because not only it was for kids, if it was only for kids, it would be great. But it's not for kids, it's also for the teachers. So we needed to create huge buttons, not only buttons with play symbol because kids will know that button, but all teachers will not. So we needed to write everything to make it obvious, so everybody can see what we want to show. And yeah, that's why I'm telling, it's not only problem on the teachers, it's problem on software developers, because we don't think about them and about adapting them to new technologies. And that's also what I need to connect with what Oskar said. There is a lot of complex problems now in the world, or easy problems now in the world. And most startups, because I know a few startups are listening this, most startups are wrong in one point of view. They create something and they ask who will have benefits from that, but that's wrong point of view. You need to first find the problem, then you by that problem see who will benefit from fixing that problem, and then if there is a good amount of people benefit from that, fixing that problem, you created the solution. Not create the solution and then asks what is the problem. That's the, in my opinion, most failures for that, because they didn't do the analytics with math to see the solution.
Yeah, I am totally agree with you guys about the challenge itself of being constantly updated with the new technologies. I have been teacher for many years in a culinary university, so imagine my brain, my design brain working in that.
You taught innovation there, or
yeah, design methodology. So for me, it was like a new field of knowledge, and they were working on different areas like design or industry fields. So yeah, and in my point of view, the opportunity today is that there is no longer any barrier to learn about new technologies by our own. I mean, learning new technologies for me is about making, it's about hacking, it's about prototyping. And I think that it's very important to have like a proactive attitude and not always to expect to receive the definitive content from the university or from any other center, because it doesn't exist at all. I think that we must build it or find it somehow, I don't know. And I think that the universities must be like only the spark of that learning mood, and then comes your own learning path. And that's it. That's the interesting challenge of today's students or today's startups, that you have challenges in front of you that there is no university in the world that's going to teach you how to solve those.
No, that is how the life of many people in the audience today will be. You must learn, you must adapt when you're in your professional part of life. So always keep, as Steve Jobs used to say, stay hungry, stay foolish, and that's the way. Oskar, as you're here, I must say I always work in I like to work in a controlled environment, just to not getting out from there. That's why I work on the Apple environment. So I as the kids, everything is so easy to work up with, and I don't want to get out of this as well. I know for sure open source is better for adding new solutions to one place, and just promoting, just making that creativity grow. But well, I think I'm not good enough. I get some Android device. I don't even know how to take all the potential out of it, because I recognize I'm not that ideal Apple fan. That's no, open source, no, blah 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 blah. So how do you get to moderate the fear of that open source? I can do so many things, I can achieve so many goals, I can do with that with that inner fear in a person, then that this is too big, I can't handle it.
Yeah,
where can I start with?
I think that we are in the FOMO world, the fear of missing out somehow, and we have like a lot of fields of knowledge in the world, and yeah, the challenge is to select your topics or collaborate with people that knows most than you, I would say. Yeah, I think that the open source for me is like something about accessibility, and for me it's very important because no everybody can go to a university context to understand and to learn many topics that are good by nature. I don't know how to say. And open source has led us to bring knowledge to different countries, to different scenarios, to different realities. So I think we must be happy for that tool, and always is it compatible with other I don't know, universities, of course, or other kind of education, but for me I like can be combined and it makes rich the education. I don't know.
That's why the internet was created, just to communicate universities. So it's so important. Yeah. Who wants to discuss on gamification? There is somebody here that still owes me some kind of explanation about what gamification you do in your gaming development, and so what does it mean to you? Why is so important?
Yeah, I can talk a little about.
We have an expert here.
Yeah. So
I was talking about him.
So for those of you who don't know what gamification is, it's using game elements in other kind of applications or real life system. For example, even grading in school, we can say that it's some kind of gamification, because if you get a good grade, you will receive, let's say, experience, and also you will receive good stuff. For example, parents will give you $5 because you did great. If you get a bad grade, you will be in punishment and in room. So yeah, you have win and lose system in a real life situation. But that's the basic of gamification. Gamification can be expanded a lot more. For example, a good example of gamification without using classical systems of gaming is using AR technology with, for example, kids book, kids storybook like Cinderella or Red-Haired Girl. I don't know how it's called in English.
Little Red Riding Hood.
Yeah, Little Red Riding Hood, and books like that. And you can create a AR application. Oh, my phone cannot be on this. Yeah, you can create AR application with kids, changing the book page, and the real story can came up and talk. And then, for example, wolf is knocking on the doors. Kids can tap on the screen, open the door or hide. They can experience the story, how it's written, but in other way. Of course, wolf will come inside if you will open the door, or he will knock the door. But the story will end up the same, but kids can experience them in gamification way. So it's. I
remember when many years ago, we had that in real life, just that books that live your own adventure.
Yeah.
Just if you want this, go to page 15. If you want this, go to page 25.
Yeah.
Yeah, now you can create apps with that.
It's fascinating.
Parents and.
That's it's curious, because that's exactly what we are doing in the Future Game platform right now. So we are launching like stories of create your own story. So great example.
It's
Dominik.
it's so so important even for education, for kids in school. We are our brain is programmed from 1 minute after we are born, is programmed just to receive and get stories done. So at school, who is this guy? Who is Marie Curie, for example? Or what did he do? Well, get out of the book, get out of war reading, just play a role with your pupils, with your people. If it's using technology, it would be easier. So, and education in all fields will receive it better. Will settle it down better in our brains, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, gamification has endless opportunities. What you can do with that, and yeah, and we didn't talk a little bit about one thing. What I want really to say is about mixing the fields, or also from STEM fields to social engineering fields and everything, is by creating a video games, because it's funny. For example, you will create a historical game. You need a historian who will tell you what is accurate, what is not. You will need to have actors who can act in that kind of point of view. You need to have clothes designers who will design the clothes from real in that time. Of course, you need 3D modelers and programmers, but you need that kind of persons who can create that in today's point of view, because if you're looking pictures from something in, let's say, 12th century, you will not find the good pictures. You need to have clothes designer who can create them. And of course, you need to have, it's not physicist, it's psychologist, who will tell you what kind of public audience. For example, if you create a hack and slash game with a lot of blood and gore, you cannot put that to little kids. It will not impact that them very well. So you need to have a large amount of team or one-man band who got all the luck and create everything. And
that's the blended we are being talking about for an hour right now. Oskar in this field is such a discovery for me personally, because well, we're quite close. Dominik has to invite me to split again. That there's a lot of gamification to do with that town, built from an emperor's palace, and it's so much technology can do on that historical places, just to show them up in a different way, tell details of the life of the people who was living there. So it's fantastic. And I think we have time for one last question, or the last thing you want to talk about, so we can make a final round. And so anything
of course, and
is getting spoken.
It seems that you could be all the afternoon talking. Yeah. So maybe you want the power of the room and stay here for hours.
we have 3 more minutes just to open up for some questions or whatever.
Yeah, I would like to make you a question, because we took some phrases or some quotes from all of you, and I would like to ask you some questions thinking about the hackathon. No, because for example, Sebastian were telling us that if you want to teach me something, give me first examples, structures, and links. And Oskar were also talking about the same. And knowledge and creativity is mostly about connecting dots, no? About not being an expert in just one area. It's been knowing several things and connecting them. And that's a concept that we like so much, and I would like to ask you about that. And also, Alfonso, you mentioned that educating the educators to encourage them to be updated and motivated. That's also linked with something that Dominik said, which is if you make technology, think first about the teachers, because they are not very fast in technology, and if you can do it, then children gonna use it. No, so about these topics, and thinking about the hackathon, how you plan a weekend working with maths and digital solutions. How do you structure that solution? How do you structure that project? And in which parts they should be focused, that the groups should be focused, in which solution or in which function or something like this, like usability, or you have to be focused in the story, in the storytelling, or you have to be focused on the visual aspect of the solution. Which should be your advices about that?
Difficult. I could say that it is a very I don't know, accurate time to do the solutions, but as we said before, and we were agree, I think that it is important also not to thinking about the solution, but thinking also talking with another fields of knowledge. No, I think that science, different sciences and humanistic areas like anthropology, psychology, or I don't know, philosophy are closer than we think, and we must be able to understand the quantitative and the qualitative data of that solution. So I think that I don't know, maybe it sounds idyllic in this accurate time, but I think that it could be an opportunity to talk with different professionals or fields of knowledge, and I don't know, work with philosophers in this small time.
Okay, that's great. Good advice.
I think the precise answer to this very specific question, which part of the solution is the most important one, is it depends. I mean, it really depends on what type of solution you're looking at and how it should work. I think design and the ease of use is very important if it's something that students or also the teachers should pick up on themselves, on their own, so that they stumble across it, can easily use it, and then enjoy using it. Then, of course, this interface design is very important. But it could also be something that is more used like a tool and embedded in some kind of class or something that is to be done. I think then the interface design is important insofar that it shouldn't be a hurdle. It should not prevent people from using it, but it's then not as important as, for example, reliability, or making sure that that the app or whatever it is doesn't crash, and that the tool actually works and is precise. So I think most of these questions of how they should be weighted really depends on what the thing is and how it is to be used.
Dominik, please tell us an advice.
Okay, I will tell metaphor. It's easy to tell it in metaphor for all to understand. I hope that everybody here is 18 plus. This is the metaphor. For example, when you find a good-looking partner, if he is sexy or she is sexy, you will talk with them, maybe have one night stand or something. But to see if you will have a relationship with them or kids or future, it depends how good person they are, how you're fitting together. To change it to the applications or video games, if the design is good and the experience, looking experience, user interface is good looking and models are good, you will download the application or buy the game. But if you will stay using the application or the game, it depends how good development is. So is the gameplay good? Is the experience good? Is it all easy? So that's the metaphor. All the good-looking games or applications, you will download them, but if the usage of the application or game is bad, you will delete it, and it's a failure, because not a lot of people are going back to the failures. So if you lose the customer once you fix the inside of the application, nobody will download it again. So firstly, everything is important.
Dominik, I was expecting a dirty metaphor. It was very soft.
Yeah, because I saw how you looked at me. So
May I say, Diego, just
Yeah, of course.
just 4 words for our audience, and that's about method. They have time till the weekend is coming, and the 4 words are design thinking and lean startup. They have time to, if they don't know it, just to
we can
get
share
a little
with them
glimpse
some tutorials. Okay, great. Okay, now you can go with your last point and stay here for all the night, of course.
I think
I have a
Rocío,
question.
Okay.
I have a question. Yes. And tomorrow we're going to talk, and it has been all around women in STEM. You were talking before about Kandinsky, that was considered here very, very recently the pioneer of art, of abstract art. Now we know that it was Ilma af Klint. Then my question is, what's the role of women in the video games, in the gaming world? Is that changing? Why are they still underrepresented? I had to make the question, sorry.
yeah, I think that question is going to me, so I will answer it. I will tell, it's changing. It's definitely changing. For example, this is my 7th generation of students. I have 20 students by generation, and in 6th generation up to now, in total, I have 7 women. So 113 men and 7 women in 6th generation. But in this 7th generation now, there is 7 women in this generation alone. So it's changing, but it's in programming field. About 3D modeling, animations, and that it's dominantly the female field, because I don't know, is it by society rules or something, but most of the females are going to designer stuff, designing, modeling, and it's not easy field. Just to correct myself, it's not easy field, because if they are animating or creating people, they need to learn about anatomy and about medical kind of stuff to create a good animations. So it's hard field just to fix myself, and it's also connected with STEM. But in programming point of view, there is not a lot of females, because in my experience up to now, they don't find enjoying it for themselves, because most of them are enjoying into creating something that can be seen. And most of the males want to be programmers, because that's the programmer's point of view, want to be closed in the basement without sun and in the dark, without any appearance. What are they? So that's mostly in the way of thinking, because as you maybe know or don't know, programming and that kind of the field was created for women to code, because in history it was thought that men cannot code, so women code, and women launched the first space shuttle to the moon, coded and everything. So in the meantime, it's changed to male dominated field. But in video game industry, as I said, artistic kind of stuff are dominated by females, and programming kind of stuff are dominated by male. I hope that I answered your question in some way, but yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you,
I would like to make an appointment about this topic. Fortunately, there is an IGDA Women in Games Association that they are fighting to encourage young girls to study gaming profiles, and they are also fighting for the character profiling in women character profiling, because actually a lot of gaming characters are sexualized or have like a different point of view in the video games. So if anybody is interested, Rocío, I think that it's very interesting to know their topics and their movement, because they are doing great things to change that overview of the video games or the games in general.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Thank
let me dedicate this this roundtable we've had to Ada Lovelace in one place, just well, pioneer in informatics and computers and so on, and the woman Catherine Johnson, who is the one Dominik was talking about, was the mathematician who make all the calculus just to take the Apollo 11 to the moon, just in paper. It's a mountain of paper just as tall as her. So let me dedicate this roundtable to those pillars of women history, and two of the lots of them for sure. But if somebody in the audience doesn't know these two women, it's time to take a review to the biography and the figure.
Thank you, Alfonso. Oh, by the way, I think that Oskar, you were talking about women in games. I think that we're going to have one of one person that is going to be one of the mentors. Then it's quite exciting to have them with us.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, well then, thank you for being here today, and it was an amazing debate. As Diego was saying, we could have spent here many more hours.
Here or in
sure.
Split, or in a Split. Dominik.
I returned from Split. I don't like Split at all. So just so you know, there is a lot, in my opinion, a lot more nicer looking place on coast than Split. But maybe because I'm originally from Zagreb, and Zagreb and Split don't like each other because so there might be that.
Okay, so well, thank you very much to all of you, Sebastian, Oskar, Dominik, and Alfonso, and see you next year, I hope.
I hope so, or even sooner.
Or even sooner, better.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to
all of you.